Hey dogs! Welcome to the FlapChat, sponsored by Arby's and Carbonated Coffee. It's carbonated.
And coffee. And
at the same time.
Yeah.
That's the
Pardon Fabio for any break he needs to take during the course of this venture due to the surprising gloominess.
It is also known as the fastest way to grow facial hair.
Super cool.
Yeah.
It is.
You should try it
Pretty groovy.
sometime.
You should try it.
Anyway, we've got several things planned for you. Actually, 5 things planned for you.
Around that number.
Right.
As we celebrate this bye-week, the intermission between week 2 and week 3, and also between week 1 and week 4.
That's true.
And week 0 and week 5 of the International Flappery League.
That's right. The IFL. We have to do a fist pump every time we say IFL.
Yeah, I was just happy to have gotten some of that stuff right.
Okay. So, first thing on the list was talking about the current states of all of the mobs.
Current states of all the mobs. Should we go in terms of standings? Or we go by hoods?
Let's go by both.
Okay.
Let's do the first the American hood,
Of course,
and
you
then
pick the
Slovenian
hardest
hood, and then we'll do order them by standings.
All right, so we're gonna start off with the Legion of Legends.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
that's not what you wanted, but
all right, yeah.
So the Legion of Legends,
led by Ricky Manning, of course.
they started off the season strong,
Right.
beating the franchise in 3 composures. The franchise fought them, really did. But you could tell that the Legion did have some weapons that they utilized.
They definitely had a down composure in the second composure of that game, but they really dominated the first and the third composure of that match.
When they were on, and Ricky Manning did take control in that final composure.
Yes.
When Ricky Manning is on, the Legion of Legends is on. That's kind of how that mob works.
Right. When he's off,
the Legion of Legends is off.
And they do have weapons. They do have weapons, which they have Niche Woodmancy, who's just thriving in his Flapperical debut.
It's very true.
Dominic Torquato, who is the king of the disallowage.
He is. He had 12 disallowages in his first day.
Leads the league in ham sandwiches per game.
Right.
At 4. Only 1 game. And 2 composures. Well, per composure. Yeah. All things considered.
I would make the argument that Cameron Carver.
Yeah, you win. You're right. You're right.
He's second place.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, Torque played 2 composures for ham sandwiches.
And Cameron played 3.
3, and he has 6. So they're tied.
Okay.
All right. Well, Fabio, you were right.
Well, they're tied.
Yeah.
They're tied.
But either way, Torque is just basically a master of defense in the IFL.
Yeah, they're strong, they're big, they're hefty, they form a wall, and they grunt at you, and they go for that.
Right, and then they throw at you Carter Waterfall Cascades.
Right, just full of water.
70% water.
Yeah,
just like the rest of us.
Right.
But also, he's just like, he throws it out that it's just like a totally new angle. You have to readjust your thinking to fight against Carter.
Yeah.
He really throws at you some diverse things as compared to the rest of his mob mates.
Right. He's different. I think it's refreshing. I'd like to see him take a leadership role with his mob. So the Legion, they were tied for the lead in their, well, not really tied, but they had an undefeated record in their hood. They're pretty confident. You could tell. They were quite happy going out of that first week. There was some smugness there. They go into week 2. They face the Jaybirds, get pounded. What's your take on that?
Well, I think they've had, outside of that game, a relatively easy schedule.
Yeah. All season long. All season long.
So when you take that into account, these next few weeks are going to be a real test for them to see if Ricky Manning, if the entire mob can stick together and still win matches despite playing against mobs that would probably be considered at a slightly higher level than the ones that they've played so far.
A member of the American Hood, they play 3 matches against Herzegovinian rivals, but they will play 4 total matches against members of their hood, the Chumbawambas of Mesa and the Flap Attack of world.
Arizona.
Of Arizona.
So it's going to be tough. they're really going into a tunnel right now. They're gonna play Chef on a different week. That's gonna be their only non-divisional matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you anticipate? How is Ricky Manning gonna respond?
Well, I think that game against Team Chef is just going to blow them away.
Right. Well, that's I mean,
No bias.
No bias at all.
no bias.
I don't think that's a word.
Man.
No bias.
Bias.
At all. Sam started it.
I caught you.
You totally started it.
Okay, we just started talking because Fabio just took another drink.
Anyway.
See what we mean about the facial hair thing?
Yeah.
It's so true.
Funny thing is, it's always black.
Yeah, don't we have
That's
any
because of
brown
the
facial hair?
Color of the bean.
Yeah, something like that. Who knows?
I don't know.
But I do think a key for the Legion as they move forward is going to be, are they going to stick with their traditional way, at least Ricky's traditional way of Flappery, with the powerhouse style, just forcing it down the other mob's throats, or are they going to stick with a
Like the coffee.
with the coffee?
Like the coffee.
Oh yeah.
Will they drink
Force
their
it
coffee
down.
or will they not drink their coffee?
That
that is the
is the
question
question.
for Legion of Legends, folks.
Oh, I couldn't echo that anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think one big test for them is going to be if their offensive team will be able to stick together, because this is a very good defensive team.
Right.
One of the best defensive teams that we've seen, especially with guys like Torque, and Ricky really picked up the disallowed
hands
distance
down.
last match. So offense is going to be their biggest challenge over
Right.
their next few games, whether they can score enough wallops to compete with these fellas right here. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
I mean, definitely a problem is that part of having a good how do I say this, with their offense, sometimes your offense relies on the defense of others, and when you play power Flappery, when it's a pushing style, you rely on the duck going to you, since you aren't able to take it back. And if you don't have a mob that's going to give it to you, if you don't have a mob like the franchise that you're going up against, you have to go out there and bring home that bacon yourself.
Right.
Which is tough, and that's what ended up happening. They ran to the Land of Saber Jaybirds. They give nothing, they take everything.
Right.
And so, in this league, that's just how it works. People take things from you, and you don't give them back.
Right, especially the tactics of when they would pull it back and they'd kind of just leave it there, and they'd set themselves up and everything. There wasn't anything Legion could do, especially as far as their strategy goes,
Right.
in order to stop them from doing that.
Right. So it's a turning point, or not a turning point. It's a crossroads for Ricky Manning in his career, because this power Flappery has served him so well. He's brought home championship. I was going to say championship after championship. There weren't that many, but
There's one.
He
asserted
still
himself
won.
as a dominant force, as one of the tapestries of
Does
honor.
Ricky have the highest rating right now? I know he has at least the highest or the
He
second
did
highest.
after the first week.
Okay.
He is a second now.
Yeah, he's sitting in the mid-90s, so...
We'll have to see.
Although
Time
it
will
is
tell.
the 21st century, we weren't claiming that he was sitting in the 90s.
Everyone's in love with the 90s.
Ricky is very much in line with the 21st century.
Yes.
Yes.
He's a modern man.
And that's why he is in the 90s. Because he's in the 21st. Never mind.
Right.
So-
It's a lot of,
Yeah.
it's
A lot of
it's give and take.
connections. Yeah.
Then second in the American head right now would be the Chumbawambas of Mesa.
Right. There's Masonites. Although they don't have Mesa.
They don't, right.
But they're from Mesa, so...
Right, you gotta give them that
That
much.
was the idea.
So, what do you guys think?
I want to know your opinion.
I'm gonna speak up on this one. I think the strategy that they have now, especially with the I feel like what's going on with them a lot is Fabio here is on weekends only, but Fabio is kind of, he's running the show, and he's taking control of the duck, taking possession, especially off the flap cross, and then from there he's controlling it, and if he can't, that's when his mom baits step in, that's when his chums step in. And one thing I did notice is that when Fabio stepped out, his mob held back a little bit. The franchise started to take control. That's when this last in week 2, when the Chumbawambas of Mesa went up against the franchise. When Fabio stepped out, it was really a hardship, and it was a trial, really, a trek for the
Trial by fire.
right. But for the rest of his mob, trial by caffeinated coffee. No,
Right.
carbonated coffee.
Thanks for the sponsorship.
Yeah.
I have a hard time seeing.
Every time he takes a drink, there's a high chance that it's not coming.
I won't make it.
Coming down. It's really life-threatening.
But as I was saying, I don't see the Chumbawambas losing a match except to Flap Attack, which we'll talk about later. But this is really a matter of the chimneys, and the Chumbawambas have one of the strongest chimneys in the game right now. Sitting right next to me, wiping his lips out, trying to make the coffee go away. And so I think that's going to be the biggest issue for the Chumbawambas is whether or not they're going to be able to beat Flap Attack. But with James Anderson, or AKA Fabio, as their chimney, I don't see them having too many struggles against a mob outside of Flap Attack.
What do you think about the Jaybirds? Them taking on the Jaybirds? Could that be a hitch in the road?
No, I think the thing I see
it would be close, but I think the Chumbawambas would come.
They did beat us in a scrimmage. It's tough. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I think if the Jaybirds approach it correctly, because the one thing the Jaybirds do have is that they're able to spread the alley, I guess, a lot. In that, especially with Ben David Saver, when Mason Landis takes chimneyship and Ben David Saver as a chum, he's a deadly chum. And so I think that if they work there, if they play their whatever the saying is, I don't know, if they play their something right.
Play their cards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they play their cards right, I think that they could pull it off. But I do have to go with Jesse on this one, or Marco, that there is a distinct possibility that the Chumbawambas will walk away with that one.
Distinct, refined, distinctive, refinitive.
You could just keep going, respectively.
Respectively.
Yeah.
Respectively. Well, number one in the American Hood is the Flap Attack.
What do you guys think?
Well, first off, would you say that is a plural or a singular?
Flap Attack?
Yeah. I mean, I realize I
believe it's a statement.
Okay.
Well, you wouldn't say
Flap Attack.
You wouldn't say Flap Attack are winning.
That's the problem, as I would.
And also, if it was a statement, then it would be
British.
Flap Attack. Because if it was singular, it'd be Flap Attacks.
Don't say funny things when you're taking a sip. So getting off the grammatical aspects of the name, I have to declare right now my prediction that Flap Attack will never lose a match and will come away with the IFL.
We're actually where are we gonna bring it?
Well,
you want my thoughts, and those are my thoughts. So.
All right, Marco has made his thoughts clear. So we recently saw Daniel Hill's debut for the Flap Attack. They faced Team Chef in the second composure, and also Johnny Woodbury was out of play at that time, so it was Daniel Hill and Melissa Manning and Bethany Thielen, and Jesse Friedman was able to master him in the chimney battle. So, just how do you expect Friedman to take the rest of the season? I mean, is he gonna assume total control? Is he gonna try to spread it out? What's he gonna do?
Which Friedman?
I think we're talking about you, right?
I thought you were talking about just
right. That was a really ambiguous name reference.
There are three of us, James.
Yeah.
3.
Right, both of you.
So I think that as long as he does remain in control, I don't think he'll ever have any issues. His mob will never have any issues. Because as we're seeing more and more, Flappery is a chimney-based game. If you have a good chimney, you have a good chance to win. It's not automatic, but you have a good chance to win. And I believe that because Flap Attack has Sam Friedman, a.k.a. Pacho, on the weekends, at their chimney position, I don't see them ever losing a match. Because he's not only... He has a good combination of both talent and strategy. And so when you combine both of those elements, you end up with a very, very good and practically unbeatable thug.
Yeah, dog.
I was gonna say yeah, dog too, but I think that'd be a little prideful.
We'll say it as family.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of talk of this chimney-based sport sort of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Do the Jaybirds defy that? Sitting first in the Herzegovinian hood, do they defy that?
I think they do, and I think the true test, though, of whether they define that or not, will be going against the Chumbawambas of the Flap Attack, and just seeing how they compared those mobs that do have the chimneys, that have apparently portrayed the notion that it's a chimney-based sport. Mm-hmm. It kind of depends on how they handle those matches, because when I recall, when I played the Jaybirds as Flap Attack, they were without Mason Landis. Without. Yeah. Which means that I think they have a lot of potential, and so I think, again, if they play their cards right, I think they can prove that a chimney-based sport doesn't mean only the chimneys can win it.
Mm-hmm. I do think the Jaybirds are an example of a team who, although they definitely are strong at the chimney spot, they're able to incorporate their chums in a way that not a whole lot of other mobs do. So especially when both Mason Landis and Ben David Saver are playing simultaneously, you end up with a chum who's definitely chimney caliber, whether he's sitting in the center or not. So I think they're a team that can incorporate chums and win not exclusively by their chimney.
And again, with Jaybirds, they're just so deep. They're so deep because we're almost trained to think of just the top two thugs on each mob, but really, when you peel it back, you got someone who's really not really the D Wade, but maybe like the Chauncey Billups.
Does he play any more games?
I don't know. I just remember him. Abby Anderson, who can really score. She doesn't get a whole lot of touches.
She does have a mean turkey bacon melt.
Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of like a Hydra. You know, you cut off the head. I think it's a Hydra or Medusa, one of those things. You cut off the head, and just another one grows. And Jaybirds, Jay Morales, he can score. He's probably not as composed as some of the others, but
he's somewhat prone to thuds.
Right, he's very raw,
and he's still in development, though. I think that as he develops and as he plays with his mob mates more, I think that'll start to.
It's definitely a long-term thing for Mason Landis to have had him. It's 3-4 years down the road.
$12 million.
Yeah. That sort of investment is going to pay off.
But not 11 million. It has to be 12.
Yes. Right. Not 13 either.
13 would be just far too much.
Right.
I don't know why I never would ever think. 13 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Herzegovinian hood in second place. Sort of second place. With the fewest losses. Is Team Chef. They've played 2 matches so far, both against the two of the highest ranked or best records. They have probably the best strength of schedule, worst or best, toughest schedule.
That's the one thing we got going for us right now.
Yeah, you always have that one if we ever get to that tiebreaker, which is not likely. Sorry, but they went up against the Chumbawambas. Week 1, it was chaotic. Went down in 2 composures. Faced the Flap Attack this week, last week, recently, and lost first composure, fairly bad, but they were within 7.
We won the second composure.
Yeah, won the second composure in a different sort of scenario, but still took advantage of it. Didn't make any mistakes. Too many mistakes. Third composure lost 13-6, which it's a solid loss, or a solid victory for the Flap Attack, but it's a little bit it's respectable. I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at.
It's not complete obliteration.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't sneeze at that, or
I wouldn't even cough at that.
Right. I wouldn't. But I really see some potential in Team Chef, and what I'm wondering is do you think these guys can run the tables on the rest of the season?
Sorry.
We apologize for the
puppy problems.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that
Some coffee.
Sure, I'm gonna use a spoon though.
Okay.
Jesse, you better start talking.
Because you're talking about me. What am I supposed
Be
to say?
strong. Be strong. Be strong. Be strong. Be strong.
It's the best. Carbonated coffee.
Okay. Oh gosh. Okay. I think. Gee whiz. Okay. My eyes are gonna start watering. If I start crying, it's not my fault. I think that I think they have the potential to do that, particularly since I think they have also the potential to own their hood. But I do think the Jaybirds are going to be a big challenge for them, and I do think all games or matches they play with the American hood are also going to be a challenge. But I do think that that basically leaves everyone with the franchise. The point is, I think that Chef has a lot of potential, and I think every match for them it's gonna be a struggle. But I think they're gonna pull out a solid number of matches in their favor, and I think that they have a lot of potential.
Yeah, they got the heart, they got the mind, they got the physicality,
Right.
or at least something of physicality, and I don't see what's wanting there, just besides maybe the results so far, but that's yet to come. Going up against the Jaybirds in week 3.
Right.
That's gonna be one I'm gonna have penciled in to watch.
Mm.
I'll watch that one.
Yeah. I will too.
Nice.
I'll watch that one too.
Yeah. You watching that one, Jesse? The next up on the schedule, big matchup against Legends. Big one. Big, probably.
That could decide the playoff spot.
And I think it's very likely that's gonna be it. Unless either Chef can, unless those two mobs can make it happen against the top mobs in their own hood, which is just gonna be tough. So that's gonna be a huge matchup. And I think I think they'll be battling for the number 4 seed in the playoffs.
I would concur with that.
Yeah.
I'm in favor.
And so I guess also technically tied, but we're putting them in third because they have more losses. The franchise. I think that the franchise, I feel like with the combo of the newly acquired.
Well, they inquired too.
Yeah, they probably had to ask him.
Yeah.
Andrew Johnson. Yeah. I think like he in his first matches with the franchise, he put up some great numbers, and I think that I think he has potential to keep going with that. And I think if Tyler Leha contributes like we know he can, I think they have potential to start to make a little bit of a comeback. But I think out of all the mobs, I do think that they're gonna have the roughest time of it, just because their play style is one that I think is going to be really difficult to use in order to beat most of the mobs, if not all the mobs in either hood.
It's chaotic is how I would describe it. And chaotic not only to their opponents but also to themselves.
Right.
They have a lot of talent, for sure. They have players, specifically Tyler Leha, who's made multiple championship appearances in the past.
Yeah.
They definitely have the talent, but I think their biggest issue is in strategizing and coming up with effective ways to beat their opponents. If they pick the right ways and use their minds to try to win games, I think they could definitely pull it off.
It's all about the minds.
All about the minds. Who's going to play Chimney for the franchise in their matchup against the Flap Attack?
That's a big question, because they have a lot of Chimney eligible people. We've seen Nathan Johnson in that spot. I believe we saw Andrew Johnson in that spot. Tyler Leha, we know, has played that in past years. Or in past year.
Yeah.
1 year.
Isaac Giesling has yet to make his debut in the IFL.
They don't have any just solely chums, and that's all they can do.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone is a major contributor.
Right.
The only ones I see, Robert Beck, Robert Beck is.
That's true. He has slightly less experience than some of the other ones.
He's talented, however.
He is a very talented.
And almost made in the same mold as Andrew Johnson is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mold.
Do you guys think it would be an effective strategy to do what they did? I believe it was against the Jaybirds, with rotating chimneys. Do you think that's effective, or do you think they have that one chimney that you think could?
No, I don't think right now they don't have that one chimney.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of good ones, but not the one guy.
Though I'm anticipating Andrew Johnson to get the start in center. I think he gave him a spark. I think I talked to Tyler Leha this morning, and he said that they were inspired by his actions, not by his, but by Andrew Johnson's.
Right.
So I think just for all time's sake, they're gonna do that. I think it's gonna be the most logical decision to eliminate all controversy. Just go with the guy who's got the highest thug rating.
Right.
Just put him in there. Go for it. He's kind of got a decent jerky bacon melt. I think it's something you gotta go with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we've gone through these teams, these mobs. Excuse me.
Have we really talked about the Jaybirds? I think we've sort of.
I guess.
Yeah. Well,
we didn't officially talk about them.
We
mentioned them with basically every other mob.
Yeah. Jaybirds, man.
2-1.
Gonna be facing Chumbawambas down the road. Other than that, everything else is within the Herzegovinian hood.
Right.
They look like they're on cruise control for the hood title, but who knows? Chef looking to make a run at them.
You know that's right.
Yeah, you know that's right. And right now, sort of banking on Chumbawambas beating Flap Attack in order to secure that number one seed. They need to beat the Chumbawambas. They need the Chumbawambas to beat the Flap Attack.
Right.
They need to score a lot of wallops, break that tiebreaker.
Yeah, I do think. I think with the Jaybirds, I think it's going to be interesting to see how Mason Landis responds, because he missed the first week entirely, and in the second week he sat out the entire second match they played against the franchise, I believe it was.
Right, you believe correctly.
Okay. So I think that I think it's going to be interesting to see if he picks up his stats, picks up his numbers, because I think he does have the potential to do so, to be a fairly dominant chimney. And so I doubt that they'll go the route of the dominant chimney. I think they're going to keep up that teamwork, but I think that Landis will be able to take more control than he has in the past.
Yeah, I think Mason we haven't seen his full abilities.
His full fury.
Yeah, his full fury, because his thug rating right now is quite a bit lower than how we all know it probably should be, because he's definitely probably top 5 or top 10, probably top 5 thug right now in the league. So,
but we'll see how important that desire for the good thug rating is. We'll see how that affects the chemistry of the mob as they go into a match that they may see as an easy one against Chef. May not be easy, but that's often the perception when one plays Chef. Especially with the Jaybirds.
James.
Sorry, that's just.
You only played twice.
I know, man. It's called generalization.
Everyone feels like they've got an automatic win. All one team who played after our first loss. But anyway, I'm not a fan.
We'll get them. We'll get them. All right. So next up, we're gonna talk about some great moments, right? That's what we're doing. Right?
Great moments.
Some great moments.
We've had some great ones.
Yeah.
We have some great ones.
So just our generally great moments, or what specific?
I think let's start with our the match that we've found most interesting thus far.
Okay.
Does anybody feel particularly led to start?
I'm so led.
Okay. Go for it.
I would say probably seeing Flap Attack play the Chumbawambas. So seeing these two guys go against each other. It was like the ultimate battle of the chimneys, and to be completely honest, it was probably one of the most boring games anyone's ever seen, because although it was very close, but the way that they scored was kind of repetitive. And so it wasn't
every time it landed in the scoring zone, man. Yeah. Got a big
so,
here.
So obviously we have basically the two best chimneys, or at least two of the best. going at it against each other. So I thought that was fun to watch. And although it only went 2 composures, which is kind of misleading because normally that means it's not close, but it was actually 9-8, both composures. So that's not really accurate. So I think it was fun to watch in one way. It was boring to watch in another way, and that's why I thought it was interesting.
You thought it was interesting because it was both fun and boring.
Okay, if that's the criteria.
But I think
it is
Chef
pretty unique. Most things are either fun or boring. There isn't a whole lot of some of each.
Middle ground.
Pacho, you want to take the next one? Then I can just take whatever's left.
Yeah. Okay. I think for me, when Legion played the franchise, to be perfectly honest with you, I thought that was an interesting
That's second place
match, just because of all his. Despite the way that the Chimneys and Chums act and everything like that, I think that most of the other mobs in the IFL have kind of similar play styles. Like, not exactly the same play styles. They obviously have mixed strategies, different strategies. But I think overall, it's an interesting. It's very.
What are we doing?
I don't know. I think we just used the force on all of you, so if you have any weird side effects, let us know. Here we go again. I think though that both the franchise and Legion, they have very different play styles as compared to the other ones, the other 4 mobs. So I do think that that was an interesting match just to watch them duel it out with their different play styles.
Which were similar to each other.
Right, which were similar to each other, especially with the idea of pushing.
It was like old school Flappery.
Right. It was, there's the duck. We gotta hit it. We gotta try to score. So I think. I know
you're thinking, man.
You're using the mind, just like I was saying. You're bound to win, dog.
I'm thinking, dog.
Exercise.
I think that was. Personally, the most interesting mob match I've had to watch.
Well, I'm going to go with the next 3 composure match. Chef versus Flap Attack. There was a sense of control where when Pacho entered the match, he's like Messi out there. He's got some power, and he's got some sort of a solid sense of self-determinism. But he went out there, or he left Thuggery, and you saw desperation light up on the face of Team Chef, realizing that this was their shot. This was their shot. They went out there, and they nearly botched it, but they won that composure, and they had to fight for that one. I was constabulating. Maybe, I don't know.
You were observing.
We were all cheering.
Yeah. But I mean, it was Daniel Hill's debut, and I think that Jesse Friedman particularly, but also Jesse on his. I think he was the left jump. You were the right jump.
I was the right
right
jump.
jump.
Right jump.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
they were really able to match up well against Daniel, and then and to try to just take him out of the match, try to control the flap cross, and so I think that was really effective for them.
Yeah, good defensive play also.
And also, Team Chef was playing without full strength
You're
for sure. We only had 2 actual thugs there. It was just me and Josiah. We were missing Tyler, Nathan Hill, and Andrew Eaton.
Yeah.
So those are all pretty strong thugs there. So when we get those back, I think it might change slightly.
Yeah.
And people won't think they have automatic wins when they play.
All right, dog.
That's fair.
All right. What other moments, guys?
Are we just going general moments?
General moments of uproar, chaos, or just isolated incidents.
So after
Isolated incidents.
in the game I said I was interesting. After that game, we all know it's coming here. so James scored. It was after the clock. It was later determined to be after the clock. But the constable made the mistake of saying wallop without consulting the ballyhoo who had the timer, and it happened such that the timer had actually gone off, but the constable still said wallop, and so James gets up out of his chair on the thuggery and starts charging around the thug mansion, declaring he said wallop. And so, unfortunately, his hopes were shredded later when he found out that the timer had already gone off.
I was levying constabulary discretion.
We love the enthusiasm.
Thanks, dog.
Yeah. So that's my moment. I enjoyed it.
Do you want to take the second one this time?
Sure.
Okay.
Second moment, not necessarily a great moment. Pretty bad moment actually. Somebody broke something. Some kids were doing this and that, and all of a sudden we saw something fall from the sky, and it was a big old clock. So that was cool.
No shame.
Yeah, no shame, Jaybird.
Not mentioning any name.
I think we just mentioned.
Yeah, too late. But
yeah,
it'll happen.
Yeah, it'll happen.
I think for me, because they took the two biggest ones, I think for me that my favorite moment would have been broadcasting with Mason Landis while Mason's mob was playing. I think that was interesting just to see how he avoided being biased, how he avoided biasty.
Yeah, you don't want to have that.
You started that, dog.
Yeah, dog. So yeah, I think that would be my favorite moment, and I'm not going to elaborate too much because we are running out of time.
Right, we're running out of time.
We're out of time, actually, essentially.
Well, actually, technically, we're not out of time. We're just out of usable time.
Right.
That's true.
So, time beheld, measured, grasped.
Right. So perhaps we will continue this at a later date. Perhaps we won't. I guess there's possibilities in both cases. It could work both ways.
Right. So thanks again to our sponsors, Arby's and Carbonated Coffee.
Right. For providing this.
Which James has courageously been sipping throughout the entire episode. For no reason at all. Because, normally coffee is supposed to be a refreshing drink, something that gives you energy, something that helps you get through the day. This is not that stuff.
Not only is it not caffeinated, but it tastes...
No, it is caffeinated.
Yeah, really?
That is extra bold. That is extra bold, dog. That is caffeinated.
We'll be good to go for our next event.
So if James is all bubbly at the next IFL day, you will know that he has been drinking carbonated coffee.
You can get some too. Order it anywhere except most
Tell
places.
us to bring you some at your own discretion. You may have to sign a waiver form beforehand.
It doesn't really require skilled labor.
Right. You may want to just ask your parents just to be safe. Anyway, thanks for watching
Chat.
Yeah, FlapChat. And we will probably see you next time, depending on if there's a next time or not.
There won't be.
There will be.
Yes.